So it's an overcast, kind of windy day on PEI here today. It's August 17th, 2022. And I just thought I'd take a little while to do a video about, actually, a video about the Diamine Reddit inks. Now, I've done a video on each of these inks, but I'm going to look at them all together. And I think the reason I wanted to do this was to sort of personally think what would be the next Diamine Reddit poll ink. um, so what happens is on Reddit, there's a subreddit, Fountain Pens, where they, in collaboration with Diamine, uh, have a poll set up with different names and different descriptions of inks, and so all the members vote on one or things like that, and so they come up with an ink. And I believe the first one they did was Earl Grey. I think the next one was Aurora Borealis, and the last one I know for sure was Writer's Blood. Now, I really like Aurora Borealis, and I really like Writer's Blood. Now, Earl Grey, I keep thinking I'm going to like a gray. I keep disappointing myself. And, I always think, oh, I'm going to find a gray that I really like. Now, in conversation with a few people online, just, comments on my YouTube channel, I started thinking maybe, sometimes I think of pen ink combinations where a pen can really come to life with a certain ink. But then I started thinking, well, I'm having trouble with grays, and I just never found one that really appeals to me. What if a pen can make the ink come to life? So I'm going to put this in a pen that I really like, and I've had several different inks in it, and every time I ink it up with something, I really love the ink. So what I'm going to use is my Custom 74. It has a medium soft nib, gold nib, and it just really flows nicely. I've had 3 or 4 different inks in it, maybe 4 or 5 actually. I write it dry and I try something new, and every time I'm just pleased with it. It just seems to work. So I'm thinking what I'm going to do to try to make Earl Grey come to life for me is to put it in my Custom 74. Maybe it is the fact that I've had it in the wrong pen. That's my theory, and I'm going to test it today. So anyway, but first we're going to look at the inks on their own. Compare them to each other, and then I'm going to make a little guess on what I think the next Reddit ink might be, or maybe I'll make a recommendation on what I think it should be, if that makes any sense. So I believe, now correct me if I'm wrong, I believe the first one was Earl Grey, which to me is interesting that a Reddit poll would come up with a gray ink. But, everybody has different tastes, right? So it's a nice gray. Like I look at it and it's a nice gray. But when I put it in a pen, for me, it just never works. And maybe that's just me, Lots of people out there love gray inks, and it has sort of there's a bit of purple cast to it. It has some nice, variation to it. It looks like a nice gray. So I'm thinking if I put it in a proper pen, I'll have some results. Anyway, so that is it. The next one was Aurora Borealis, and this is an ink I really liked. And it's sort of a teal blue, bit of a green cast to it. You get a lot of nice line variation. I've had it in my Custom 74. It looks fantastic when I'm writing with it. You get some nice line variations and shading occurring, things like that. Really like it. And it's interesting that they would go from a gray to a teal, quite a jump in my opinion, from almost like a conservative, safe color to something that's really flamboyant and has a lot of character to it and really jumps out. So that was kind of nice that that happened. And then the third one, which was I'm going to say 2020 is Writer's Blood. And Writer's Blood, I really like. And it is a nice sort of burgundy color, purple color. Works well in every pen I've ever put it in. I really like that. I really like reddish, I don't like pink inks or anything like that, but I like sort of, you know, rust colors or burgundy colors and things like that. I really like that in an ink. Now, looking at it, they went from a gray to this beautiful sort of teal blue to this really fantastic burgundy uh, wine colored ink. And I really I find the choice of names quite interesting too, because you get to vote on the name, and each name has a color description. So Earl Grey, reminds me of a tea. I don't know why. Well, Earl Grey tea. I know why. But and Now for a tea, Earl Grey tea, I don't really think of tea as gray personally. I don't. Uh, Earl Grey tea. I sort of picture sort of a browny, reddish, tea color. So it's a true gray. So that was interesting. I would have expected there to be a bit more brown to an Earl Grey. Now, Aurora Borealis, that actually quite works quite well. Nice name. I tend to think of Northern Lights, for instance, when I think of that, or you know, uh, things like that. Now, my favorite name, of course, is Writer's Blood. And when you open it up and you think Writer's Blood, and you look at it and it goes, oh, it's this sort of wine dark color. So it's not really a blood color, but like I was saying, it's a wine dark. So it's kind of a play on the idea of writers enjoying a nice glass of wine, or writers having this rich dark soul to them and things like that. So playing on that. And I was looking at, right at the moment, there is another Reddit poll underway, and one of the ones that I really like the name of was Writer's Tears, that they've have happening. So maybe I don't think it will win, but Diamine actually could play with that idea. Writer's blood, writer's tears, writer's sweat. Somebody came up with a great one the other day on my comments, writer's block. So they could come up with a whole line of writer's inks, and really have fun with that. I think they should do that. Now, looking at what they have a gray, of course, they have a teal, bluish, greenish, and this beautiful burgundy wine color. And trying to guess what probably would be a good color, next one would be probably a green. Even though this is greenish in color, I think a nice green would be really interesting. Something maybe with a bit of shimmer to it and sheen, would be an interesting color. Another color that might be interesting if they come up with would be something a bit more on the I don't know, maybe on a, not so much like, maybe I'm trying to say yellow, but not maybe a sort of a rich I don't really like yellows, but but something like a brownish color with a yellow cast to it or something like that. But actually, what I think they should do next would be a green. Um, that would be interesting. They already have a couple blacks, for instance, like that have sheen and shimmer to it. Tempest, for instance, which is um, what do you call it, ink vent calendar. So there's already one taken for that. So I don't think they need a black. But yeah, something in a green, or maybe sort of like a golden brown, yellow, something really rich color, or even like a beautiful brown of some form, because some brown inks can be quite striking. Now, anyway, it'll be interesting to find out what they come up with. I don't know when it will be released. Maybe next year, probably. But you never know. They could come out later this year with it. Diamine's always doing interesting things with color-wise. Now, I love these two. I really like these two. I've used them in different pens. Always going to use them. I've had the Earl Grey for a while, and I've tried it in a few different pens, and I've never really warmed to it. I'm just going to adjust my camera a bit here, because what I'm going to be doing is just loading up my pen, and I'll do a little writing sample with it. Yeah, and even when I look at the swatch, the dark is quite nice, but then you see the lighter tones, and it just sort of goes meh for me. But that's me. So I was thinking, I'm going to find the proper pen for this ink, and maybe the ink will come alive. I often approach it from the other angle, where the ink, a pen can be really improved by the proper ink, but maybe the ink can be improved by the proper pen. And maybe this isn't the pen for it, but I've had so much good luck with this pen. I'm going to try it in this. Now, it's a Custom 74 soft medium nib, really nice string to it, and it has the Con 70 converter in it, which I really like, actually. You press down the button and it sort of plunges, and it works quite well. Now, I'm not going to worry about getting a huge fill. I barely got any fill there for whatever reason, but I'm going to just go with that. I can do a better one, I know, but I'll do that later. Mostly I just want to get enough ink in there to see what it looks like. Now, so Earl Grey. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. What do you think? That actually looks all right. I think my theory might be right. Maybe it is the proper pen that is what I need, It has a nice flow. There's a bit of line variation occurring. And I think it looks good. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fill this up, and I'm gonna spend some time with the pen and the ink, and maybe I'll break that little mental block that I have about gray inks. But yeah, so what this has is a soft medium nib, nice little spring to it, very soft feeling, very smooth, and it has a lovely line. It gives you a nice bit of line variation. I'm not saying it's a flex nib by any means. It just has a nice soft feel to it. One of the reasons I like the Pilot Custom 74 so much. I did try this actually in my Sailor Pro Gear with it has a hard fine nib, and it's like a needle, and I didn't like it. And that's one of the things about that pen. It works. I've had I don't have it here with me, but it's in the other room. So my Sailor Pro Gear, it has a Japanese fine nib, which is like a needle, and it's a hard nib, and it's very hard. And oddly enough, it took me a while to find an ink that I really liked in it. And the ink I found that I liked in my Pro Gear was Diamine Oxford Blue. And this Earl Grey did not work in the pen. But just a quick look here, it actually works quite nicely here. So anyway, what other pens would you suggest? I don't have a huge collection, but have you found that same thing? Certain inks really come alive in certain pens. If you're using Earl Grey, what pen are you using it in? I'd be interested in knowing. Um, Somebody told me that they used it in an 823 and it worked really nicely. I believe it. An 823, the Pilot Custom 823, and I'm kind of envious of that person because the Pilot Custom 823 is one of my Grail pens. I would love to get one someday. Maybe if I can stop buying inexpensive pens and save up for a more expensive pen, that might be the thing to do. Yeah, maybe next year. Anyway, so let me know what your favorite pen ink combinations are. What pen do you try Earl Grey in? What color do you think will be the next Reddit ink? That's something I'm kind of curious about. I'm looking forward to trying that ink when it comes out. And anyway, I hope you're having a great day. It's actually quite a nice day here. It's overcast and breezy and a bit of rain and cool, and I quite like days like that. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you're new around here, I invite you to subscribe to the channel, and if you like the video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.